All right, Michelle, almost time for the season to start. ASU's early schedule, they've got Kent State, Sacramento State, Michigan State, Colorado, and Cal. For my money, they should go 4-1, even if Coach Herm doesn't even bring his clipboard and his whistle to the field. What are you thinking?
I agree. You look at those first two, those are gimmies. That gives Jaden Daniels, your new quarterback, 2 games to kind of get his feet wet, get used to the college game. Then you've got the biggie at Michigan State. That's one. If they win, it's a bonus. I don't think anybody expects them to win that one. Then you start Pac-12 play with Colorado, who's lost 7 games in a row, and Cal, who has a great defense, but they should win that game too. So yes, 4-1 is doable.
So here's what I'm thinking about the Michigan State game. Last year, Michigan State came to Tempe. Arizona State won that game. For Arizona State to really announce itself as a national player, you win this game on the road in Big Ten country where they've got the advantages. ASU doesn't have the advantage of the heat. They don't have the advantage of the time zone. They are on enemy territory, and if they can win that game, they announce themselves in a way that's different. But what else does this game mean, right? Because you can really test some things out early. So what are you looking for in the early stretch of the schedule?
I think the key is how your new starting quarterback responds on the road in hostile territory for the first time. And I think from watching Jaden Daniels, not just in spring, but the 4 or 5 years I saw him in high school, I think he's got the mentality that he can handle it. He's not too overwhelmed by any situation. So I think he's going to be good there, but still, it's your freshman quarterback, first time on the road.
Now, I'll take it one step beyond that. I think just that whole first stretch, ASU could be a tale of 2 teams. If you remember last year, they started off throwing the ball, moving things around, and then all of a sudden Coach Herm about 3 games in said, stop, we're a running team, we're running the power, running the counter, and the team kind of became different after that. Potentially, if the offense doesn't take off early, Coach Herm could say, that's enough of that. We're getting the old guy, Dylan Sterling Cole, we're going to make him the quarterback, and we're going back to that power counter, throwing the ball deep, we're going to be a completely different team. That could create a real advantage going into Pac-12 season. This could be a really key stretch, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch as a collective chunk. Each game individually will tell us something, but the first 5 will really matter. All right, so Michelle, let's start with O-line. You're telling me there's stuff going on with the guard situation. So I thought Cole Cabral was the center. Where are we?
Well, Cole Cabral has moved over to left tackle because Zach Robertson was the left tackle, and we don't know when he's coming back. He's out for personal matters, as they say. So Cole's moved over to left tackle. That's left a void at the center. They tried several different players there. They tried Donovan West. They tried Jarrett Bell. They finally settled on Cade Cote, who was a 5th-year senior. So he's got the center spot. Now that has settled, we move over to right guard, where now you've got Jarrett Bell and Roy Hemsley kind of battling that position out. Roy Hemsley is a senior. He played a lot last year, didn't start, but did play a lot. And then Bell is a freshman. So what I see happening is them using both. It doesn't matter who starts. I think they're going to play both of them because after this year, let's say they do start Hemsley, their entire offensive line is seniors. So they're going to need to get other guys ready to play. So even if Hemsley gets the start, I see them using Jarrett Bell quite a bit at the guard position.
So I think you make a good point. Last season, I think they rotated about 7 guys, right? Coach Herm talks about that a lot. It was offensive line coach Christensen. They just move a bunch of guys in to make sure that folks are ready in case they have a gap or to fill in. Take some guts to do it, though, right? Because you need to be able to say, listen, this guy's coming out on this series regardless. Does any of this affect Eno? Because it still sounds like a senior-laden group. Does this mean that Eno's not going to be who he was last year?
I think Eno is going to be who he was last year, and they're going to need him even more this year because you've got a freshman quarterback. You don't want to put your freshman quarterback in and rely on him winging the ball all over the field or running like he does. You need to, at least for starters, in the first few games, rely on Eno because that takes the pressure off your true freshman quarterback.
I like that a lot. I think that if Eno Benjamin can be versatile, I would like to see him catching the ball out of the backfield. But I think if you rely on Eno Benjamin to lead the offense, both with the run and catching the ball a little bit out of the backfield, that does take pressure off the quarterback. And if he can gain those yards, 3 yards, 4 yards, 7, 12, you know how Eno does. He's really hard to tackle on the first wave. He usually breaks that first tackle. That could really give your offensive line a lot of confidence. So that to me is something to watch. But now, you want to talk about safety or did you want to stay there?
Well, let's one more thing.
Yeah.
the coaches have said that their goal for Eno this year is to catch at least 50 passes.
Yeah.
I think last year he had 35. So they definitely want to get him more involved in the passing game because teams are going to pack the line of scrimmage against him 8-9 guys. So now if you put him out and some swing passes and whatnot, it kind of opens up the field a little bit. So their goal for him is 50 passes, and I don't think that's unrealistic.
If Eno catches 50 passes, he's going to have a decision about whether to stay in Tempe for his senior season or whether to go to the NFL. That's going to be bittersweet for Sun Devil fans. They could see the guy who was among the among the leaders in rushing in all of the NCAA last season. He could make the jump to the NFL. You're happy to see him, but you don't want to see him go because you want him to come back. It's a totally different situation for ASU football when you're having this kind of conversation a couple of years in a row after we had this chat last year about N'Keal Harry. Okay, but now let's talk about this secondary, right? You got the 3-3-5 defense, and one of the most important parts of that defense is the Tillman safety. The Tillman safety's got to be a do-it-all. He's got to know how to protect against the run. He's got to know how to get out there in coverage. He's got to be able to move around and go all over the field. It's vital. So what are we doing?
Well, it looked like Tyler Wiley was going to be the guy. Tyler Wiley was the guy until in August. Broke his ankle, had some ligament damage, so he went down for the season in August. It was his job until he got hurt. Now Tyler comes back, looked real good in the spring, but kind of came back a little out of shape in the fall. Went to Camp T and he was out for 3 days. He was very sick, so he kind of lost a lot of ground in that game. And in that time, Evan Fields stepped in and did a really good job. Right now, Evan Fields is the guy taking first team reps, and Tyler Wiley is on second team. So in talking to Danny Gonzalez yesterday, he said a very good scenario would be one plays the run better, one plays the pass better. You don't have to give that position to one guy. Again, kind of like the guard position, I could see them splitting reps there because, again, with the speed that ASU wants to play with and the intensity, Danny said that he'd rather have two guys playing 40 snaps each than one guy playing 80 snaps.
How about this? Let's have a little fun with that. Put Captain America there. Put Ethan Long there. Ethan Long's all over the field anyway. He's playing quarterback, he's playing wide receiver, he's playing running back, he's going to be a gunner on the punt team. We saw what they did last year, putting Jalen Harvey, switching him on different sides of the ball and putting him over to safety. Why not do the same thing with Captain America, make him your Tillman, call it a day? What do you think?
Well, he hasn't practiced there yet, for one thing. I think eventually he's going to be a player on defense at linebacker. But right now, he's had his plate full. Remember, he's a true freshman also. And Rob Likens, the offensive coordinator, said he can't remember having a guy where he spread him all over the field in so many different positions because he's a true freshman. But he hasn't played defense yet. So I would hold off on that.
All right, let me give you one last thing. Let's talk this through. I'm thinking out loud. ASU seems really young. I know they were young last year and they kind of outperformed expectations, especially on the defensive side. But are they even younger this year than last year? Tell me more about that.
Herm has said he could play anywhere from 15 to 20 freshmen.
He's crazy. Coach Herm, what are we doing? Is he crazy?
No, he's not crazy. When you look at the talent they've got, especially in the secondary, and a lot of these guys are interchangeables because they can return punts, and you can see a lot of guys returning punts. But when you've got Jordan Clark and Willie Hartz and the Markham brothers, Nolan Matthews at tight end, I mean, the list of players that they could have contribute is endless. So, no, and then again, playing 20 freshmen isn't playing 20 freshmen because with that new rule where you can play 4 games and still redshirt, maybe a lot of these guys, it could be a situation where they get in bits and pieces of 4 games. So how many of these 20 freshmen are actually going to play a big role and I don't want to say start, but play a lot? We'll see, but they're certainly high on these freshmen they've got.
From my perspective, this is a really good thing for the program. I know it sounds super young, and I know that you might want to have older guys on the field, but if you're telling a recruit, listen, kid, you can play right now in this program. We don't care whether you're a senior or a freshman. We're going to give you an opportunity to show it, and then they proved that in the last 2 years. They're giving guys an opportunity on the field. That gives them a boost in recruiting, and I also think it raises the caliber of player that come to Tempe overall. Listen, we could do this all day. Greg Moore,
Michelle Gardner.
And we're going to be on it. ASU Football. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Send us some notes. Find us on Twitter. We'll be on it.